Exposed, the blind millionaire's incredible journey to discover his fiancée's shocking betrayal. In a small American town, James stood at the brink of everything he ever wanted: love, success, and a thriving community that admired him as the self-made millionaire who overcame blindness. But whispers grew louder, shadows of doubt creeping into the corners of his heart. Was Sarah, the beautiful woman he was about to marry, living a double life? From a young age, James had faced an uphill battle. Born blind, he learned to navigate a world of darkness with determination, powered by the unwavering support of his single mother. Their humble beginnings fueled his ambition. He fought through adversity and built his empire, epitomizing the American dream. But as he prepared for a wedding that symbolized love and commitment, cracks began to show, threatening to shatter everything he'd worked for. The community buzzed with excitement for the annual town festival, a celebration of their rich traditions, and James tried to drown his fears in the festive spirit. Yet that very joy felt tainted, shadowed by Sarah's secretive late-night meetings and suspicious texts. Moments that should have sparkled with anticipation now filled him with dread. As he walked through the vibrant streets decorated with twinkling lights and colorful banners, laughter from families mingled with the distant sound of a band playing. It should have been a moment of pure joy, but all he felt was an urgent knot in his chest. Every familiar voice felt like an accusation as he questioned the integrity of the woman he loved. Each joyful cheer from the townsfolk echoed his internal turmoil. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The festival neared its peak, and James stumbled upon messages that hinted at Sarah's involvement in something deceitful. Each text message felt like a knife, twisting deeper into his heart. Could he really confront the woman he was ready to share his life with, and risk losing everything? The air around him thickened as he wrestled with a dilemma that was all too familiar: loyalty versus honesty. Surrounded by friends and family who believed in him, he felt their collective hope resting on his shoulders. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a testament to his struggles and triumphs and the love that had shaped him. Yet, as the glowing lights illuminated the festival ground, they did little to brighten the shadows of betrayal lurking in his heart. The moment arrived when he could no longer silence the turmoil inside. He approached Sarah with a mix of dread and certainty, feeling the weight of those who had stood by him. As he voiced his fears, the joyful sounds of the festival faded into an eerie silence. The crowd, sensing the tension, held its breath. James looked deep into Sarah's eyes, and for a fleeting second, he saw a flicker of conflict and unresolved tension that mirrored the struggle within him. With the atmosphere crackling like fireworks ready to explode, James faced the ultimate question: would he find the courage to unveil the truth that could either save their love or plunge him into despair? The community around him held on to their collective breath, waiting for resolutions that seemed just out of reach. The air hung heavy with anticipation. James felt his heart racing, each beat echoing a silent plea for clarity. He was standing on a precipice, the weight of the world pressing down as he searched Sarah's face. Finding the right words felt like grasping for shadows, but the truth demanded to be spoken. "I saw the messages, Sarah," he finally said, his voice trembling but steady. "I know you've been meeting with someone else." A hush fell over the crowd, punctuated by the distant laughter of children who were blissfully unaware of the storm brewing at the festival's heart. Sarah's expression shifted, her eyes widening in surprise, then narrowing in calculation. The conflict he glimpsed a moment before vaporized, replaced by an inscrutable mask. "James, please," she started, her tone placating, as if trying to soothe a wound that had barely been exposed. "It's not what you think." He felt a rush of heat crest his face, anger and heartbreak mingling into an unbearable concoction. "Not what I think. I saw the texts, Sarah. You can't just brush this off." The surrounding crowd shifted uneasily, whispers weaving through the air, an undercurrent of shock coursing like electricity. Friends he'd battled alongside in the trenches of his ambition and those who cheered at his successes now looked on with concern, their faith in him uncertain, fragile. "James, I swear," she pleaded, stepping closer, reaching out. "It was about you. I was preparing a surprise for the festival, a gift to celebrate you. I didn't want to ruin it." Her words hung in the air, the idea of betrayal battling against a glimmer of hope that insisted she might be telling the truth. Deep inside, James craved to believe her. It would be easier, oh so much easier, to cast this moment aside as a misunderstanding. Yet, trust felt like ice, cracking under the pressure of the doubt that had marinated for weeks. Then why keep it secret? He shot back, the rawness of his emotions spilling into every word. Why hide it from me? As her silence deepened, so did his turmoil. Shadows flickered in his mind, moments spent together now viewed through a different lens. Could he really walk down the aisle, hand in hand with someone who had already danced on the edge of deception? Staring into her eyes, he longed for an acknowledgement of vulnerability, a spark of sincerity that could rekindle trust. Instead, he saw a maelstrom of emotions as she stewed in the awakening reality. The flicker of conflict returned, but this time it was a fiery resolve igniting a notion too potent to ignore. The crowd shifted again, sensing the engagement of what could spiral into chaos. Murmurs rose and fell like a wave crashing against the shore. James clenched his fists, willing the sweat from his palms. He had to make a decision, but he couldn't act on impulse. "I need time," he finally announced, voice firm yet heavy. "Time to sort through this, whatever this is." Sarah's face fell, the mask crumbling as vulnerability wrapped its arms around her. "You're going to walk away? Just like that?" "It's not walking away," he said, forcing himself to step back, creating distance. "It's about finding the truth without these shadows chasing me." The weight of uncertainty hung like a storm cloud that refused to disperse. As he turned away from her pleading gaze, hesitation coursed through his veins. The festival, once lit by joy, now felt like an avalanche waiting to crash down on them both. In that moment, James felt the burning need for clarity, to gather the pieces of his heart wholly before confronting the chaos. But the shadows of doubt loomed larger than before, and he could not shake the sinking feeling that love and betrayal danced hand in hand. What lay ahead? Would he uncover the truth amidst the chaos, or would he succumb to the very darkness he thought he could overcome? And, most importantly, when he finally sought answers, would they demand consequences he couldn't bear to face? James stepped away from Sarah, the crush of the crowd pulling him further from her grasp. Every face was a reflection of his inner turmoil, a collage of concern and confusion. He could hear the distant music of the festival, the laughter fading into a hollow echo. How could joy exist when his life felt like quicksand? He walked, each step weighted with unresolved questions. The cool breeze brushed against his skin, a stark contrast to the heat radiating in his chest. He had loved Sarah with every fiber of his being. The idea that someone might replace that love with betrayal left a bitter taste in his mouth. What if there was truth buried under her words, a shock he couldn't yet fathom? Or was this all a twisting nightmare? He glimpsed familiar faces in the throng, the supportive friends, the acquaintances who shared laughter over drinks. They stood in clusters, whispering and stealing glances at him. He could almost hear their thoughts. "Did you see what just happened? Can you believe it?" He wanted to scream, to tell them that they didn't know the half of it, to demand their abandonment of judgment. But inside, he was battling a tempest alone, trapped in his uncertainty. As he rounded a booth selling artisan crafts, the vibrant colors clashed with his cloudy mind. He needed a diversion, something to cut through the fog. He walked to the edge of the festival where a small pond glimmered under the summer sun. Reflections of trees danced on the surface, but all he saw was chaos. Sitting on a nearby bench, he put his head in his hands. The weight of suspicion was heavy, like rain clouds threatening to burst. Did love blind him, or was it that honesty hadn't met expectation? As anger subsided, despair crept in. He thought about their plans, the future they had built with each whispered promise. Suddenly, footsteps approached. James looked up to see an older man walk toward him, eyes filled with concern. It was Mr. Sullivan, his mentor, a man who had seen him grow both personally and professionally. "James," he said gently. "I saw what happened. You all right?" James tried to nod, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. "No, not really. I don't know what to think." Mr. Sullivan sat down beside him, his age granting him a quiet authority. "Sometimes, the truth hides in plain sight amidst the chaos. Have you thought about confronting Sarah?" "Confront her?" James felt a spark of anger return. "What if she is lying? Then that's the truth you need to face. Maybe it will hurt, but harsh realities may prevent even harsher future pains." James felt the gravity of those words. He had to dig deeper, confront the shadows lurking in the spaces of silence between them. Would that take more courage than he possessed? What if it breaks me?" he whispered. "Sometimes, breaks can lead to the strongest foundations," Mr. Sullivan replied. The man's words echoed in his mind, lingering like hope. Could it be that facing the shadowed truths might illuminate his path forward, however painful it might be? Swallowing hard, James realized he was running out of time to decide. He couldn't let fear dictate his future any longer. He needed to reach for his own truth. "Okay," he finally breathed, determination blossoming in his chest. "I'll talk to her. I will find out what's really going on." The sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue over the festival. But even in that warmth, the chill of uncertainty remained. As he stood up from the bench, a sense of purpose ignited within him. Would his confrontation with Sarah lead to healing, or would it reveal deeper betrayal? With resolve, he headed back into the swirling crowd, prepared to face what awaited him, and as James approached Sarah, his heart raced once more, not with fear this time, but with the adrenaline of truth-seeking. In those hazy moments before their paths crossed again, he felt a flicker of hope. But would the answers he sought bring closure or only open more wounds? James moved with urgency, weaving between the festival-goers who laughed and chatted, seemingly oblivious to the storm brewing inside him. Each step brought him closer to Sarah. His heart thudded against his ribcage, a relentless reminder of the weight he carried. As he spotted her at the far end of the crowded plaza, he hesitated. She seemed carefree, tossing her hair back and laughing with a friend. The sight struck him like a punch. This was the woman he had planned a future with. The woman he loved. Yet now, that very love tasted like ash in his mouth. He could feel the eyes of the crowd on him, the curiosity in their glances. Was it sympathy, judgment, or mere speculation? It made every breath feel constricted, amplifying the turmoil raging within. "James." Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts. She turned, her face lighting up as she noticed him headed her way, but his resolve remained. He had to know, no matter the consequences. He had to clear the tangled webs of doubt and confusion. He approached her, his composure faltering for just a second as she beamed warmly at him. "Hey. I was looking for you," she said, her smile bright and inviting. "Everything okay?" The warmth in her voice hit him hard, threatening to crumble the walls he had just fortified. He took a breath, grounding himself in the moment. "Can we talk?" he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil. She frowned slightly, intuition perhaps stirring within her, but nodded. "Of course. Is something wrong?" "Yeah," he replied, feeling the gravity of his words. "We need to talk about everything." They moved away from the bustling crowd, finding a quiet corner under a large oak tree. Shadows wrapped around them as if cloaking their fragile moment of confrontation. "James, you're scaring me. What is going on?" she asked, genuine concern written on her features. With every ounce of courage, he blurted out, "People are saying things about you. About us. I need to know if there is any truth to it." The air felt electric, heavy with unspoken truths. Sarah's eyes widened, her mouth opening slightly as she searched for words. "What are you talking about?" I overheard a conversation. It suggested things could be happening behind my back. Even as the words escaped, each one felt like a dagger, each accusation amplified in the silence that followed. "James, please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You have to trust me. This sounds like a misunderstanding. Then clarify." His voice grew louder than intended, startling a passing couple nearby who glanced back at them, eyes filled with curiosity. James quickly lowered his voice. "I need to hear you say it. I'm not cheating on you," she exclaimed, her eyes glistening. "There's no one else, I promise." But the desperation in her voice didn't ease his pain, it only heightened it, clouding his heart with doubt. "Then what's with the secrets, Sarah? Why are things so unclear?" Tears threatened to spill from her eyes, and something in him faltered. Every ounce of love he had for her collided with the suspicion lodged in his chest. "Because I didn't want to hurt you," she said, her voice breaking. "There's so much you don't know. What do I not know?" he demanded. "What could possibly justify the confusion between us right now?" Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating, as Sarah looked down, biting her lip. The tension escalated as he waited, heart racing, for her to find the courage to speak the words that could either break them or bring them back together. Finally, she lifted her eyes to meet his, resolve solidifying within her expression. "You deserve the truth, but are you ready for what I'm about to say?" Her question settled between them like a heavy fog. James felt the world around him fade, only the two of them remaining in this charged moment. The answers he sought were upon them, they were within reach. But would the truth hold the foundations of their love, or would it shatter everything he believed to be true? The weight of Sarah's words hung in the air, stretching every second like an eternity. James could feel the thrum of the festival around him, music from a distant band, the laughter of children, and the inviting aroma of festival food, but all of it felt muted, as if life around them had paused to listen to their exchange. He leaned closer, urging her with his eyes. "Just tell me, Sarah. I can handle it." Taking a shaky breath, she wiped away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "It's about my brother and his situation," she started, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your brother?" Confusion washed over him. "What does he have to do with this?" Her gaze fell to the ground, and he could see the struggle within her. "He's in trouble. Bad trouble. I didn't want you to worry, so I kept it from you. I thought I could fix it before you found out." "Fix what?" He was on the verge of losing it, the evolving story shifting from betrayal to something deeper, darker. "What trouble?" "Money issues," she confessed, "and his involvement with people who aren't good. I've been trying to help him handle it without dragging you into it. I thought if I kept it away from you, it would keep you safe." Her voice cracked, heavy with sorrow and fear. James' heart raced. "So all those whispers I heard were about your brother? Not you? But why wouldn't you just tell me? The people talking, they think there's something else." Sarah's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "I thought I could manage it, James, without involving you. I didn't want you to think less of me." "Less of you?" He was astonished, even in the turmoil. "How could I ever think less of you? Sarah, I love you. But this secret, it breaks trust. I can't be here wondering if you're hiding something bigger from me." The second stretched into an agonizing silence. She looked at him, vulnerability etched on her face. "I didn't mean to hurt you. Please understand. I want to, but it feels like you've only given me half the truth." He stepped back slightly, needing space to breathe, his chest tight with confusion. "Why not come to me when the trouble started? I could be helped. I wanted to protect you. I thought this would just blow over." She took a step forward, urgency in her movements. "You don't understand, he's involved with dangerous people. If I had brought you in, it could have put us all in harm's way." A knot tightened in his stomach. "So, your way of protecting us means lying and keeping secrets? It's complicated." She cried out. Can't you see? I love you. I just wanted to protect what we have. I thought if I could just protect me from what? From the truth. He shook his head, frustration pouring out of him. This isn't about protection. It's about fear. Your fear. And that fear is what's tearing us apart right now. Sarah's hands trembled as she looked down, shame washing over her features. The silence was deafening, almost unbearable, and while James struggled to process, he felt the foundations of their relationship cracking beneath them, but beneath all the turmoil, a sliver of clarity began to pierce through the fog. If you had just trusted me, his words faltered. He wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but he didn't know how when he felt so ground down by the emotions swirling through him. Suddenly, another raw thought clawed its way up. Wait, what exactly is your brother involved in? Her face paled, eyes widening. James, you don't want to know, but his gut twisted with fear. What if the truth was worse than what he had imagined? What if it put not just their love, but their lives in jeopardy? I need to know, Sarah, he insisted, urgency flooding his voice. I can't walk into this blindly. Taking a deep breath, Sarah clenched her fists, her expression shifting as if she was bracing herself for a storm. All right, but you might not like what you hear. As the crowd continued to swirl around them, James's heart sank as he braced for the unpredictable future that lay ahead. What secrets lay beneath the surface, entwined with her brother's actions? James felt a rush of anxiety. This wasn't just about their relationship anymore, it was about stepping into a heart of darkness he never anticipated. Could their love survive the revelations that were about to unfold? The gust of wind picked up, sending a flurry of discarded napkins tumbling through the festival grounds like half-formed thoughts. James felt a chill race down his spine, not just from the cool air, but from the weight of Sarah's gaze. It was as if the world around them had dimmed, and the joy of the festival was eclipsed by a shadow that seemed to grow larger with each passing heartbeat. James, please, her voice trembled, and for a moment, he saw the flickering candle of hope in her eyes. Could he really let it go, this betrayal she had wrapped in a protective layer of lies? He clenched his fists, the sharp edges of his nails digging into his skin as he tried to steady the whirlwind of feelings inside. What kind of trouble, Sarah? He pressed, needing to understand the depths of the darkness that loomed over her brother. I can't walk into this, I can't walk into anything without knowing what I'm up against. She sighed deeply, a sound that seemed to carry a weight of the world. He's been borrowing money, she said, her voice thickening again. From people who don't just lend. They expect things in return. Dangerous things. She took a couple of steps back, her eyes darting away from his like she was trying to run from the inevitable truth that hung between them. Like what? His brow furrowed, and James felt his stomach twist. Each word from her became a crack in the wall of their love, an unsteady foundation that threatened to collapse under their feet. Like paying off debts with jobs that aren't exactly legal, she admitted. He's gotten involved with some serious people who don't play by the rules. I didn't want you to know because I was scared you'd think less of him, of me, of us. For a brief second, the pain in his chest was overshadowed by a rush of sympathy for her. He could see the way she fought to keep the pieces of her life whole. But sympathy quickly morphed into frustration again. You think hiding things from me is how to protect our relationship? He asked. How does that work? If these people are dangerous, don't you think I ought to know about it? She met his eyes fiercely, desperation igniting a flicker of rebellion within her. You have no idea what they can do, James. I've seen it. I've heard the stories. It's not just a matter of money, it's lives at stake. Ours. The laughter and music from the festival seemed to drown out her words for a moment, creating a stark contrast between the joyous chaos surrounding them and the turmoil within. James felt his breath hitch. I could help you. The words came out before he could think, as if they had a life of their own. We could face this together. A moment of hope flickered in her eyes, but it was quickly eclipsed by fear. And put you in danger? She shook her head, a tremor in her voice. I can't. I won't let that happen. I thought if I just what? He interrupted, more frustrated than he intended. What, Sarah? If you just swept it under the rug? If you just played pretend? That's not how it works. You can't bite your lip and hope the darkness goes away. As the words left his mouth, he felt the tension in the air shift. Could they really just pretend everything was fine? Could he trust her enough to move forward, or was every step they took together now mired in shadows? The music swelled around them, a bittersweet reminder of what their love once felt like. But seeing her there, standing on the precipice of despair, he didn't want their story to end in heartache. Can't you see that I'm here for you? Sarah looked down, her fingers nervously twisting the fabric of her dress. He wanted her to know he would bear whatever burden she had to share. But she hesitated, wrestling with demons he couldn't see. You might not want to be here after you hear it all. James took a step closer, their worlds colliding into a single moment of breathless intensity. Then let us get it all out. I can't fight in the dark. Not when I care about you, and not when your brother's life is at stake. As the quiet settled around them like a fragile truce, he held his breath, waiting for her to respond. Could they face whatever fears lay ahead together, or was this just the beginning of a spiral they might never escape, fear twisted inside him? What other truths would drag them into this bleak world? What other secrets lurked in the shadows? The air was heavy with promise and uncertainty, and James couldn't help but think that the answers would change everything. But would it be worth fighting for, or would they lose it all? Sarah took a deep breath, the weight of her thoughts hanging like a dark cloud. She looked back up at James, eyes swirling with fear and regret. The moment stretched out, filled with unspoken words. James, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. My brother didn't just borrow money. He sold himself into something deeper. The revelation struck him like a blow. What do you mean? He could barely form the words, his mind racing. There are people who will take more than debts. They own him now, in ways I can't explain without, she faltered, squeezing her eyes shut as if trying to shield herself from the truth. In ways I can't bear to think about. It felt like the ground shifted beneath James's feet, a shaky tremor that threatened to topple everything he thought he knew. Are you saying they own him? Like a slave? She interrupted, tears spilling down her cheeks. He's in too deep, James. If I told you everything, you'd never look at me the same way again. I can't even believe this is happening. I thought we could manage it, but it's spiraling out of control. He felt a surge of anger and protectiveness. This wasn't just about her brother anymore, it was about Sarah and the life they were trying to build. So, what do we do? He asked, his voice steadier than he felt. We can't just let this go on. You need to stop pretending. I tried. She was breathing hard now, frustration catching fire. But I don't know how to fight this. I thought I could handle it alone, but he is too far gone. If I try to pull him out, it could mean losing everything. I didn't want to drag you into this mess, I thought it would be better to protect you. Protect me? His voice rose, mingling with the festival noise around them. By shutting me out. You can't just decide what's best for me. This is our life, and your brother is in danger. A flicker of resolve sparked in Sarah's eyes. But he's dangerous too. You think I haven't thought of that? The people he's involved with, they won't stop until they get what they want. If I try to pull him out, we could be next. It felt like they were caught in a storm. Guilt gnawed at his insides as he realized the weight of the decision laid on both of them. So, what then? We do nothing. We just wait for something to happen. That's not an option for me. The urgency in James's voice cut through the haze surrounding them. Sarah shook her head, a mix of sorrow and determination fighting within her. I need time to figure this out. If we act too suddenly, it will blow up in our faces, and I can't risk you getting hurt. What if I don't have the luxury of time? He urged, anger bubbling under his skin. What if he's in danger right now? We can't let fear keep us paralyzed. She stepped closer, the vulnerability in her eyes softening the tension. I know you're right. But I can't do this alone. You have to promise you'll stay safe. Then we face this together, James insisted, reaching out to take her hands. I don't know what we'll find, but I can't turn my back on you now. On him. I won. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and he felt the power of their shared determination. In that moment, the festival noise faded, and the world closed in around them as they stood arm in arm, vulnerability meeting resilience, but as they locked eyes, an unsettling thought crept in. What if they weren't strong enough? What if the darkness they were about to confront was too overwhelming? James, she whispered, pulling him back from the edge of despair, what if this changes everything? What if we can't come back from this? He squeezed her hands tightly, desperation threading through his words. Then at least we face it together. As they turned to leave the festival chaos behind, shadows loomed ahead, promising trials that would test their courage in ways they never imagined. What awaited them could break them or reveal the strength they never knew they had. Caught between fear and hope, their journey was just beginning, and both could sense that the next step might plunge them into a darker world than they ever anticipated. Would they reclaim their lives, or dive deeper into chaos? The air hung heavily around them as they stepped out of the festival's vibrant chaos, the sounds of laughter and music fading into the distance. It felt too bright now, too cheerful for what lay ahead. James and Sarah walked side by side, the gravity of their conversation pulling their spirits down. Where do we even start? James finally broke the silence, his voice low and filled with determination. We'll need information, Sarah replied, brushing away tears with shaky hands. There's a place a hangout for people who are into the same scene as my brother. Maybe someone there knows something. James nodded, his mind racing through the possibilities. Do you think facing them is safe? I mean, what if they get suspicious? I don't know, she admitted, biting her lip in thought. But we can't keep avoiding it. We need to find a way to reach him. He can't be lost to them forever. They turned down a dimly lit street, the neon lights casting an eerie glow. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the ground itself was warning them to turn back. As they walked, James felt a surge of protectiveness. What if they do something to you? I can't bear the thought I can take care of myself, she interrupted with a fierce whisper, though the tremble in her voice belied her confidence. At least, I have to try. For my brother. I know you can, he said softly, squeezing her hand. But we're in this together. No more secrets, no more hiding. We owe it to your brother and ourselves to see this through. She looked up at him, a mix of gratitude and fear swirling in her eyes. Thank you, James. I can't tell you how much that means right now, she paused, swallowing hard. But promise you'll be careful. I can't lose you, too. He didn't answer right away, letting her words wrap around him like a heavy cloak. The truth was, he felt like he was stepping into a lion's den ill-prepared and blind. I promise, he finally said, though doubt flickered in his mind. They arrived at a rundown bar, its windows flickering with yellow light. Laughter and loud voices spilled out. The place felt thick with secrets, and a gut sensation warned him they were about to enter a world that could swallow them whole. He glanced at Sarah, who stood tense beside him. Ready? No, she responded, her breath matching the quick hammering of her heart. But they walked forward together, pushing open the heavy door. Inside, the atmosphere was charged. Flashes of color from the bar lights reflected on worn walls. Sarah scanned the room while James felt his pulse quicken. Then, a familiar face emerged from the throng, one of Sarah's brother's old friends, a man named Rick. His expression shifted to one of surprise as he spotted them, and a shadow crossed his features. Sarah? What are you doing here? Rick asked, his voice laced with caution. Before either of them could answer, the bar door swung open behind them, and two men stepped inside, their presence crackling with a strange intensity. The laughter stopped, eyes turning their way. "Looks like we've got company," James muttered, anxiety swirling in his gut, but Sarah's gaze was fixed on Rick, her determination igniting in her eyes. "I need your help." As Rick's expression shifted from surprise to wariness, James knew this moment would change everything. And the two men looming at the door were the catalysts for all that lay ahead. "Tell me where my brother is," Sarah demanded, and the tension in the room thickened like smoke. The trap was set. The stakes were rising. What would it take to bring her brother back? And would the answers lead them to safety or throw them further into danger? Rick took a hesitant step forward. His eyes searched Sarah's face, weighing the urgency against the danger of her request. "You shouldn't be here, Sarah. This place, it's not safe." "Not safe?" she echoed, a hint of defiance rising in her voice. "I'm not leaving without knowing where he is, Rick. I can't." The two men who had entered the bar positioned themselves near the door, scanning the room. Their vibe radiated intimidation. James felt his heart race, but he refused to back down. He stood firm beside Sarah, presenting an unyielding front. "What do you want from him, Sarah?" Rick pressed, tension coating his words. "I want my brother back," she said firmly, her voice unshaken. "He's lost somewhere in this world, and I believe you know more than you're letting on." For a moment, silence fell. The laughter from earlier felt like a distant memory, the weight of their quest hanging over them like a storm cloud ready to burst. Rick glanced around, as if measuring the safety of the moment. "Listen, things aren't like they used to be." "Tell us, Rick," James interjected, his patience wearing thin. "We're running out of time." Each second felt like an eternity, and inside him, fear mingled with anger. He had promised to protect Sarah, and he couldn't bear to let her down. Finally, Rick let out a shaky breath. "All right, but we need to talk somewhere else. Out of here." Before anyone could respond, one of the men at the door leaned casually against the frame, watching with an unsettling smile that revealed too many teeth. "Leaving already, Rick? You just got here." James felt a knot form in his stomach. Their cover was blowing away like smoke in the wind. "Just taking care of some business," Rick replied, his voice nearly a whisper, but the bar's low hum drew all ears toward them. The man at the door straightened, eyes narrowing. "Business? You're a long way from home, kid. Best keep your nose down." James felt Sarah tense beside him, her breathing quickening. He wanted to urge her to step back, to stay out of sight. But he held his ground, standing in front of her protectively. "Sarah, maybe we should," he started, but she cut him off, transforming her fear into resolve. "No. We're not leaving until we know. No matter what happens." "Listen to your girl, Rick," the other man chimed in, his tone mockingly sweet. "You don't want to get caught up in whatever mess this is." Rick risked a glance toward the men, then leaned in closer to Sarah, lowering his voice. "There are things happening. Your brother, he got mixed up with people far beyond what we can handle." "If you dig deeper, don't tell me to back off," Sarah interrupted fiercely. "I need to know. What happened? Where is he?" Fine. Rick's eyes darted nervously. "He's been seen at the old warehouse on Mill Street. But that place is dangerous, and people are not what they seem anymore." Just last week what?" James pressed, every nerve in him screaming. "They found someone dead in there." Rick's voice trailed off, the implication hanging heavily in the air. The words crashed into them like icy water. Sarah's eyes widened, and James felt the grip of his own fear tighten, a visceral warning that they were stepping into the unknown. He could sense the danger growing like shadows creeping closer. The room shifted in an instant, the vibrant noise dulled. They were not just searching for her brother now, they were facing an unknown force, a storm that threatened to drag them under. "Let us go," James urged, breaking the tension. He looked at Sarah, her determination mixed with fear as they moved towards the door. But the air turned electric as the second man stepped forward, blocking their path. "And where do you think you're going?" James' heart hammered like a drum in his chest. The moment was thick with danger. Nothing was certain anymore, and a question burned in his mind: how far were they willing to go for her brother? "Stay close," he whispered to Sarah as the man's eyes bore into them, setting the stage for an inevitable confrontation. What would they uncover in the shadows ahead, and would they find her brother, or only more peril? James could feel the tension crackling in the air as he faced the man blocking their path, muscles taut and heart racing. Every second felt like an eternity, a standoff that could explode at any moment. Sarah stood beside him, her resolve only slightly wavering as they confronted the looming threat. "Let us through," James demanded, his voice steady, almost daring them to make a move. He wasn't about to back down, not when Sarah's brother's life was at stake. The man before them smirked, a flicker of amusement dancing in his eyes. "Or what? You'll fight us?" He chuckled, drawing attention from the bar's patrons, who now watched with widening eyes. "We're not looking for trouble," Sarah interrupted, her voice firm despite the flutter of fear racing in her chest. "We just want to talk." The tension in the air was electric, a silent standoff where hesitation lingered long enough to turn brave hearts to stone. Those looming shadows of danger became much more than a metaphor, they were flesh and blood like the evil lurking behind the doors of this bar. "Talk, huh?" The man questioned, tilting his head as disbelief registered on his face. "Nice try, but you'll find that doesn't work down here." James felt a surge of anger wash over him. How could they dismiss them, reduce their desperate plea to a mere jest? Anguish bubbled to the surface, threatening to eclipse what little hope remained. "We're not leaving until we know what's going on with Sarah's brother," he insisted, his voice rising with undeniable urgency, when everything shifted. As if the universe had been holding its breath, the second man exchanged a glance with his counterpart. An understanding seemed to pass between them, and James felt an unsettling anxiety grip his heart. "Your brother got in over his head," the first man finally said, his tone shifting to something harsher. "He wanted power, and now he's paying the price. But it seems his little sister has come for him cute." James took a step forward, fueled by rage. "You think this is a joke? His life is at stake. Any interest you have in saving your brother is too little, too late," the man retorted coldly. "We don't take kindly to feral pets who wander where they don't belong." The threat hung in the air, pregnant with menace. "Take us to him," Sarah pressed, her fingers entwining with James's, seeking strength in unity. The weight of daring to confront their lives had become a shared burden, igniting the fires of determination in them both. The men exchanged looks once more, something flickering behind their eyes: uncertainty. Fear. "Not a chance," the second man spat. "But we can have a little fun before you realize you should have turned back." And just like that, as they lunged toward James and Sarah, the world erupted into chaos. Adrenaline coursing through him, James caught Sarah's shoulder and pulled her back. He swung, adrenaline bursting forth as he landed a clean punch on the first man's jaw, sending him staggering. But there was no time to waste. The second man charged, and instinct kicked in. With one swift move, James shoved Sarah behind him, shielding her with his own frame. "Run!" he shouted, determination flooding his veins as the bar erupted into shouts and chaos. He turned, ready to face the onslaught, but found himself blurring the lines between fear and resolve. As they burst through the exit, the blaring lights of the street outside momentarily blinded them. They ran blindly, adrenaline masked by sheer terror, but their shared urgency propelled them forward. They couldn't stop now, not when her brother might be in immediate danger. "Where do we go?" Sarah gasped, breathless as they skidded to a stop in the darkened alley. "I don't know," James replied, feeling panic rising. "But we'll figure it out. We need to regroup, assess our next move." He grabbed her hand, anchoring them together as they stumbled toward safety. They needed to think clearly and act smartly, but that pressing nagging fear lingered whether they could save her brother, and if they would end up victims of the very darkness they were trying to fight against. As they ran deeper into the night, determination settled beneath the surface. Together, they would face the fear, the darkness, and the uncertainty that loomed ahead. They would fight for Sarah's brother and for their own love, of fire igniting bright enough to pierce through the night's shadows. They were stronger together, and through that bond, they would find a way to reclaim hope. They turned the corner, and suddenly, there it was, the old warehouse at Mill Street, looming ahead like a Gothic fortress steeped in danger. Heart pounding, they exchanged a look filled with both fear and resolve. "Whatever happens next, promise you'll stay by my side," James said, squeezing Sarah's hand tight. "I promise," she replied, her eyes steady and hopeful despite the circumstances. Together, they would walk into that darkness, still in search of the light. This moment was not just about her brother anymore, it was about them confronting the very elements that could either destroy or cement their bond. Taking a deep breath, they moved forward, ready to face whatever awaited them in the shadows ahead. Together, they whispered in unison, hearts drumming to the rhythm of uncertainty and bravery as they stepped into the unknown. And remember, if you want to know how this incredible journey unfolds, you need to subscribe now to catch all the exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button to fuel the algorithm. Comment your reactions and thoughts about this emotional roller coaster, and don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us embark on this journey together.